This is On the Line.
Hello everyone, welcome to Open Line on Wednesday night. I'm Ben Hall. It's the night before Halloween, and here's a question. Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in haunted houses? Our guests tonight are people who investigate paranormal activity. They believe in ghosts. They believe this is real. They're not kidding. And they are here. They have video clips and that kind of thing. So this is our opportunity to really talk to them about how realistic this is, what's really happening here, and how haunted is Tennessee. So let me introduce our guests. We have Tammy McClendon with the Stones River Paranormal. Tammy, thank you for being with us. John McKinney, also John McKinney Jr. with Stones River Paranormal. Thank you both.
Yes.
All right, so here's the question. My first, how haunted is Tennessee?
You want to take it or me?
I'll take it. A lot of times in Tennessee, we go to really historic places and stuff like that, and actually it is pretty haunted. A lot of people might think that it's not, but because of the Civil War and the Trail of Tears with the Indians and stuff like that, we actually do come across a lot of hauntings.
And how do you determine a haunting? When you say you come across a haunting, are they mainly in houses? Are they in, buildings? What is it you come across?
Well, we actually investigate all types of locations, from giant businesses to houses and stuff like that. But we are based on using equipment and stuff like that. So if on our equipment we catch evidence of a ghost or a spirit, and we can actually pull it up and show it to people later on, that helps prove to us that it is haunted.
So you have equipment.
Yes.
You go there. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to say off top, you don't charge for this.
No, we do this as a service to the community. Each one of us, we feel, has something to contribute, so we like to do that because there's so many people that are afraid to come to people like us. So if we take the money out of that issue, it just makes it that much easier.
And what do you say to people who say this isn't true? Ghosts do not exist.
We ask them to come on an investigation with us, and 9 times out of 10 we'll change that.
And what is your average haunting like? So if you see a lot of hauntings, what are the telltale signs? What is one like?
Oh, there's so many variations. One thing is electrical equipment will malfunction. You may have lights that go on and off for no reason. You'll have batteries that are drained. We've even had microwaves that go on and off with no reason. Mm-hmm. So most of the time you're going to see something on the electrical side that's going to malfunction when it was perfectly fine before.
Okay, so that's a sign.
Oh, yes.
And what are some other signs?
Another sign is sometimes, like, people that live there or work there, they actually see things with their eyes or have weird personal experiences themselves. And then we'll go there, check it out, see if we can back up their personal experiences, maybe get some of our own. Another sign is, this sounds like something everyone else would say, but a lot of historic old buildings, places that have been around a long time, cemeteries, things like that.
Yeah,
so.
And animals. If your pet acts strangely and looks in a corner, has the big eyes and the ears laid back, there's nothing in that corner, that's also a sign.
Now, you have locations in Murfreesboro and Chattanooga.
Yes.
Would you say rural areas are more likely to be haunted or urban areas?
Personally, I've seen things in both. I mean, there's really no reason why there couldn't be something everywhere. It's not always the buildings, sometimes it's the grounds. And you think of hundreds of years ago what's happened. There could be burial grounds that are no longer showing. There could be people that have had tragedies. So it's really, there's no way to say it's one or the other.
And what is, in your opinion, behind this? Why are there ghosts, in your opinion?
That's a good question. Personally, I'm not sure why there's ghosts, but that's also why I'm intrigued to investigate. Because when you get into this, you have a lot of questions that you want to be able to answer yourself. And so when you investigate, you try to figure out things on your own and come up with stuff like that.
I mean, the story that you see in the movies is they had some, tragedy, and they are unable to leave this world. Is that what you feel like you're finding when you encounter these, or is it something else? I mean, what about that?
That's one reason. I mean, definitely if there's a tragedy, if someone meets their end without knowing, sometimes they don't realize they're deceased, and we've come across that. There's also animals. Pets can be, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm one of those people that takes in strays, and my house is full of animals that have deceased, which is kind of a strange thing. We come across that in a lot of buildings. Sometimes it's, to me, family members or entities that seem to be family members that are here just to look after you and just make sure things are okay.
Do you find is it scary? I mean, are these ghosts threatening?
Personally, they're not really threatening. A lot of times they're just like regular people like you and me. If we make a joke to ourselves while we're out in the field, sometimes some of our equipment will like light up and make noises kind of like they're laughing with us. So, and kind of like to your other question, sometimes people haunt certain locations because it's a place that they've loved to be at. And it's a place that they feel emotionally attached to. So, or like even with their family. So.
Yeah, we found that things can be attractions for ghosts as well. Like a musical instrument, a piece of jewelry. Be careful when you go to antique shops. That dresser may belong to someone that was really attached to it, and they'll come home with you. Yeah.
And all right, have you seen things that make it impossible for someone to live there? It sounds like a lot of what you're describing isn't so threatening or whatever, but are there situations that you've come into? And we're going to play some videos later, but I guess describe the most obvious, perhaps threatening haunting that you have come across. Where was it, and what happened?
It was actually at a personal residence. I was out with my husband, and a lady literally ran up to my car. I sometimes will keep magnets on the car of our paranormal team. And she ran beating on my window, telling me that they had something in their house that was causing her all sorts of issues. It was literally kicking her out of bed. And that was definitely a malicious entity that we ran across. And we ended up, during that investigation, the lady was attacked and had marks around her neck.
Yeah, she was actually choked, and we actually had our wireless DVR system set up. So while some of us were sitting outside, all the girls went in there at once, and the rest of us were able to watch and see what was going on. And we noticed that this weird occurrence was going on of her being attacked. And we went in there, pulled her out, and she actually had hand marks around her neck. But we got her back on her feet, and she felt better, and then we ended up helping her out later because we actually prayed over the house, and she hasn't had any issues with it since that we know of.
Yeah, and that's what makes what we do worthwhile, is when after we cleanse the house, so to speak, we get something back from the people there that tell us that they've not had another occurrence.
So how do you get rid of them then? I mean, in Ghostbusters, you put them in a thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not it?
Well, no, not for us. We're actually one of the few Christian groups that do this, which seems a little out of the ordinary. And we actually pray over the house. We have something where we hold hands, we get in a circle, and we have the owner of the house there as part of it. Because for some reason, that seems to be an unwritten rule that the owner of that house has to be there to be a part of that ceremony. And it's amazing the difference when we first go into the house and after we do that cleansing.
And we also tell them not to engage it or provoke it themselves when they're there, because sometimes if you talk to it or make references to it, it'll actually come back, when if you just kind of leave it alone after you pray over the house, it'll be gone.
Now, there's some people who say you couldn't be Christian and believe in ghosts. I mean, what do you say about that?
Well, as it depends on how you want to handle your paranormal investigations. If you want to bring out the Ouija boards and the crystals, I mean, to us, that's not what we do. Everything we do is with prayer. We go in and use that to protect ourselves. We use that to cleanse the houses. And in every situation I've been in, it has helped.
And also along that lines, as far as a Christian team goes, it's not like we're always like trying to help people out in a Christian sense. It's just that as members, we all go to church, we're all Christian members, and as a group of Christian people, we all just come together to help inform people of paranormal activity. In fact, there's a lot of Christian people out there that believe in paranormal, but since they're Christians, they don't know exactly how to handle it, and they can come to us and we kind of help explain it to them and things like that.
Well, there's a stigma put with paranormal, and that's one of the things that we want to do is help people to understand that being paranormal doesn't mean that it's demonic.
And lastly, before we go to break, again, I mean, does Tennessee have more haunted houses or more of this kind of activity than other states? And where is the highest level of activity?
I don't think it has more because, I mean, there's historical places all across the country. We have found that the Thomas House in Red Boiling Springs is one of the places that we frequent. We do it because we enjoy it, and pretty much every single room is haunted there. And every time we go, we have an experience.
And what would you say, how we compare to other states and you know, that along those lines?
Yeah, well, the good thing about Tennessee is that it's on the east coast of the United States, so people have been here longer than they've been on the west coast, and we have more of a history than places like that. So comparatively speaking, from the east side of the United States to the west side, I would say we are more haunted. But comparatively speaking to like Kentucky or places directly around us, I'd say we're all about the same. Okay.
All right. Well, we are going to talk about some of the equipment they use. And of course, if you have some kind of question, you are more than welcome to call in. Perhaps you don't believe what they're saying, or perhaps you have a haunting in your house. Whatever you want to do, there's the number, 737-plus, 737-758. Welcome back, everyone. The night before Halloween, we are talking with paranormal investigators. Tammy McClendon, John McKinney with Stones River Paranormal here. And, all right, you have a location in Chattanooga, a location in Murfreesboro.
Yes.
And I ask, you know, how haunted is Tennessee? You say it's pretty haunted. Chattanooga, I've been down there a lot. There's a hotel down there. What can you tell us about the Sheraton Hotel?
The Sheraton Hotel is, in fact, believed to be the most haunted hotel in Tennessee.
And this is in Chattanooga?
This is in Chattanooga, right in downtown, right off of Market Street. And when you drive by, it's a huge building, looks really historic, you can't miss it.
And why would it be, why is that?
When you go, there's a room 311, and that room, there was actually some murders that took place in there. And
that's terrible.
As far as what happened with those murders, I haven't exactly done the research yet, but I know a lot of people that have stayed there since then have had a lot of claims themselves to stuff moving, seeing things, stuff like that.
I thought it was the Civil War.
No, this is actually a murder that took place in the room. It was a young lady. She was found murdered in the bathtub. And supposedly they have walled in that particular area, but if you go in the room, you can still see her. She'll roam at night.
Well, that's horrifying. Okay. That's amazing. Okay, well, let's go to Jason on line 1. Hello, Jason.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, we're talking about ghosts.
Well, you know, we're in Murfreesboro. I'm not going to give the exact address. I will offline. I don't want people just coming out here to the house. We live out in the country, and it's a pre-Civil War house. And there's definitely stuff that goes on there. Doors closing, opening on their own. Hear little girls laughing, and there's everybody around. So just a lot of stuff like that. So we'd love somebody to come out and confirm all of it. That'd be great.
So you see and hear all these things. You think it's more than one?
Oh yeah.
And do you have any idea why that might be?
It's at least a pair. We don't have no idea. We just know that the house was built in the 1800s. And stuff just happens. I mean, nothing evil or anything happens, but stuff happens quite frequently. So at least a couple times a week.
Couple times? Now, are you scared?
No, I mean it's scary at first, but when you figure out there's nothing really going to bother you. I mean, it's just it is what it is. You know, I mean, like I say, you hear little kids laughing, like a pair of kids laughing. And then, like I say, every now and then, like the bathroom door open or shut on its own and stuff like that. Little things like that, or a ball will roll across the room.
Wow. Okay. All right. Very interesting. What would you? Thank you for calling in, Jason. Thank you for sharing that. What would you recommend for Jason?
Well, we recommend, first of all, Jason contact us. We want to go see this house, and we can find out pretty much what's going on. It sounds to me they're definitely not malicious. It sounds more or less like a family that had lived there at one time, and they're just going through their activities as though they still own the house. So we can go there, we can bring some props to play with the kids, set up cameras, and literally you may see toys moving around where the kids are playing. We can use our equipment to get images. We have IR cameras, we can get voices, and I'm pretty sure we can get some help to these people.
Now, all right, I want to go through some of the equipment you use in a moment, but you say some ghosts are threatening or mean-spirited or whatever, and some are not.
Right.
But if they are here because there was some tragedy, a murder or whatever, then why aren't they all mean-spirited? Why would you have just people laughing and playing around?
Well, we believe that an entity in death is the same as they were in life. So if they were mean-spirited as a live individual, they're going to carry that on with them. So you may have people that were murderers or committed crimes. Well, when they're ghosts or entities, they're going to carry on those same thought processes. Now, if they're people that were just there at the house, they love that house, it's just a family. They're going to continue as they did in life.
But why are they stuck as ghosts? Why are some ghosts and some are not?
We believe that some are here because it was a tragedy. They still don't know that they're dead. Sometimes they're there because that was a favorite place for them. We believe some are here because they're maybe looking out for a loved one. And then there's others we still don't know that answer. That's why we're continually trying to find those answers.
Okay, see, that's very interesting. Okay, very interesting. Let's look at some of the equipment that you have here.
Okay.
So let's say you're going to go investigate Jason, who just called in. You're going to go to his house, pre-Civil War house out in a farm area. What equipment would you take?
Well, one of the most commonly used pieces of equipment that we use is actually this right here. It's known as a K2 meter, and the way it works is you turn it on, and there's a little green light right here. When some source of electrical current or electrical power or something like that comes near it, it'll actually light up to the farther green colors to yellow and then red. And what we'll do is at first when we go through their house, we'll kind of scan the area just to make sure that it's not an electrical problem that can cause people to have like a weird sense of something's watching them. Because if there's more electricity circuit in one area of the house, it can actually cause people to think that when there's nothing there. And then what we'll do...
So does that... Oh, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You do that first. Okay, then go ahead.
And then what we can do is kind of set it down somewhere and explain to the spirits that if they come near it, they can actually light up the lights. And we can ask questions like, if you're a boy, can you light the light up? And then sometimes it'll light up. And then to also back that up, then we'll ask the opposite question of, if you're a girl, light that up. And if it doesn't light it up, that helps prove that it was a boy, because it lit up for the boy but not the girl.
Yeah. So are you saying, all right, you're saying now they want to let us know who they are?
They do.
They're not hiding.
They're not. Most of the time, they're more than happy to talk to us, because if they've been dead for 20 years or plus, they could have not talked to anyone the whole time they've been there and just been lonely. If someone like us comes to talk to them, they want to take up the opportunity to be able to have a conversation and that someone actually acknowledges that they're there.
And again, now if somebody says, this sounds really crazy to me, what do you say?
Come on an investigation.
Yeah, and we also do public events sometimes, like in cemeteries or haunted hotels, and people can actually come out with us, play with the equipment, and a lot of times, well, kind of like with myself, at first I didn't believe in it. I was just kind of there to see if I mean, I kind of believed, but I didn't. I just wanted more proof. And when you're there in the middle of nowhere and you got stuff lighting up, or you go through on your equipment and you hear voices, it's kind of hard to disprove that, especially if you're there yourself and you know that no one was there talking in the background or something like that.
Okay, and quickly, what are the other things you have up there?
This right here is just a regular voice recorder. When you're on an investigation, if you record, the voice recorder actually picks up frequencies that you can't hear with your own ears, and you can ask questions and stuff like that. Whenever you go back and listen to it on a computer software where you can enhance it and stuff like that, you'll actually hear voices that are answering some of your questions that you didn't hear when you were there. Another piece of equipment is we have night vision cameras, so we can actually film what we're doing in the dark. That's really good because you don't want to have all the lights on, because a lot of times when lights are on and everyday life is going on, we get distracted from trying to like hone in on what can possibly be happening. When you're in a dark room without much happening, you can actually tell like specific things that are changing in the area around you.
And you have a couple videos you shot. We're going to show those in a moment. You also have some pictures, and I want to put some of these up. Now, what is this here?
This is actually a picture of me about a year and a half ago. We were out at one of our friends' cemeteries, and we actually took 3 pictures, and in the first picture there's nothing there.
Well, okay, here's the second picture.
And here's the second picture. This is actually a lot of fog that showed up in the picture, but we didn't see it with our own eyes.
And it wasn't cold.
And it wasn't cold either. And then in the third picture, it's clear again. When we take pictures, we actually take them right in a row. So if something appears in all 3 of the pictures, we know that it's something that's supposed to be there. But if it only shows up in one of the pictures, we know that it's something paranormal. And the definition of paranormal is something that's not normal.
Yeah, and we take these within seconds of each other.
So what was that?
We believe that it was actually a spirit that was around us. If you actually look at that picture, kind of, if you guys can pull that back up, in the picture behind me.
This is the middle picture with the smoke?
Yes, right? The middle picture with the smoke.
Yeah, so, okay, this picture, right?
Yeah.
You can see that outline in the middle.
If you look behind me, there's like the really heavy places with the fog. And then in the middle, it kind of looks like a side view of someone standing there, kind of with their arms out. And the cool story about this photo is my dad was actually there with me. He's a part of the team. And I said, "Hey, Dad, I feel something's weird behind me. Can you take my picture?" And that's when he took the pictures, and then that appeared in the picture.
And were you there because of some haunting, like someone had called you out there?
Yeah. There was a guy that actually had a cemetery in his yard, and which is really strange, but he called us because he'd always been fascinated with it, and he didn't know for sure if it was haunted or not. So we came out there one night just to see if anything was going on, and that's what we got.
Wow. All right, we have to take a break. If you're on the line, hold on. We're going to take some calls here in a moment. We're also going to show some videos in a moment. So we'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line. We are on the night before Halloween talking about paranormal activity. We have with us paranormal investigators, and it's been a very interesting show. And we have several calls, so let's go to the phones here. Let's go to Lewis. Hello, Lewis.
Hello.
Hello. What's on your mind?
Oh, I just wanted to say that we live in a house that's only about 7 years old, and we have 2 ghosts that visit our house quite regularly. They've actually become part of the family almost. We've actually seen them. My wife and myself have seen them. Other guests have seen them. And also, we've actually seen things that fly through the house when they're upset about certain things. They don't like a lot of noise. If we get really loud, sometimes they get upset and they throw things. So it doesn't have to be necessarily an old house. It can be a new house, too.
Well, that sounds like a hard way to live. So if you make too much noise in your own house, you have a ghost that throws stuff around.
Yes.
And he's part of the family.
Well, it's a lady and a man, and we actually know who it is because there's a graveyard
on the in the subdivision, and it turns out that they were owners of the property years ago, and we traced down their son, and he had to move. It was their grandson, I'm sorry, and he had to move from the property. He could not live in the original house here.
And you really, now can you take pictures of this? Because again, there are going to be people who question this. Can you take pictures?
We did have we had a thing where a person took a picture at a dinner here one night, and there was an orb in one of the pictures with a disposable camera. And then about 3 or 4 years later, we had another one, and it was the same person. It was so odd. They took some more pictures, and there was an orb in one of their pictures on that one, and both times it was the disposable cameras. So that kind of goes along with what we said. Plus, like I said, we have people who stay here have seen either the man or the woman, or heard or seen things. So everybody that knows the house pretty much knows that it's haunted.
All right, Lewis, thank you very much. What do you say there about?
First of all, say, Lewis, contact us. We want to come to your house. And as far as orbs, be very careful of orbs. We have found that 99% of what people think are orbs are actually dust or water particles. And but it's not to say that there are not orbs. We have seen those too. But obviously there's some activity in the house from what they've said. And that also shows that it can also be the grounds, not necessarily the house, because that is a newer house.
And what he's saying is that this entity is picking things up and throwing things around. How often do you see physical movement of things?
That's not as often. What we believe is that entities have different strengths. The stronger they are, the more able they are able to manifest themselves, to throw things, to cause the lights to go on and off. So that can change. But we have very much experienced things moving.
Amazing. All right, we have some videos now. We're going to start with something you labeled as hotel apparition. Now,
yes.
That sounds to me like it's a hotel ghost, but it's not very long, but I want to set it up.
Well, this video is actually taken at the Thomas House in Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee. And one of our investigators was just walking down the hallway with his night vision camera. And you'll see in the video, he's walking, and at the end of the hallway by the stairs, you'll see what looks like a figure at the top of the stairs. And then it slowly disappears from the bottom to the top.
And also, this video was also used on ghost hunters.
It was used on ghost hunters.
Yes, so they may recognize it.
On the Sci-Fi Channel.
On the Sci-Fi Channel. Okay, and now it's going to be used on Open Line. So let's take a look at this.
That one's not there.
Okay, so we're going to play that again, and you can talk over it.
Okay.
He's going to re-cue it, but again, what were we looking at there?
Okay.
I guess you could see it on the left-hand side, or what
Yes.
would you? So
Yeah,
when
you'll
we look
see
at it,
you'll see the door frame in the hallway, kind of at that room at the end,
okay, here we go.
and then you'll actually see what looks like a figure on the left side, just kind of standing there.
Okay.
There you can see it's a white, misty look.
Right. All right. Now, why is that place so haunted? You've mentioned this Red Boiling Springs place a couple of times. What's going on there?
Back in its heyday, Red Boiling Springs was actually known for its sulfur water and its mystical healing powers that people ended up figuring out later didn't really work that well. So people that were sick and a lot of families that were trying to get people better, instead of taking them to a hospital, they'd actually take them to Red Boiling Springs. So people could get some of that sulfur water to hopefully heal them of whatever they need to be cured from. And at that hotel, there's actually several murders that have taken place there. And we know that because we've talked to the ghosts that have done the murder and the ghost that was affected by the murder.
There were people that died that tried to get the waters to heal them, and family members that passed on.
Yeah, and there's actually a really well-known haunted little girl that lives there by the name of Sarah. In fact, she's there all the time, I'll walk in the place with the K2 meter that lights up, and I'll say, "Hey, Sarah, I'm here," and it'll start lighting up. And she's really well known at that place. And then there's also the guy that died in the murder, and then the guy that was attempting to do the murder. He actually died at the same time, but he fell off the balcony after he shot the guy at that location.
And now, you know, so that's good. We're going to show another one here in a moment. But there might be some people who are like, can't we get a better picture than that? You know, if this is all out there, all over the place, can we get a better picture? Is it I guess, hard?
We actually have quite a few.
Yeah, with paranormal investigating, it's kind of like fishing. Sometimes you go out there and you don't know if you're going to pull in a fish this big or a little fish. It's pretty much luck. However, there's us that do it all the time, so we tend to get better luck than people that don't do it all the time. And we actually have several videos that we've caught in that are clear, and then some that aren't as clear. And you can view them all on our YouTube account. And we do have some really clear one, and we try to break it down on our YouTube account and kind of explain the video while it's being shown to people. Okay,
great. All right, well, good. We're going to look at this more in a minute. Let's go to a call here. Valencia, are you there? Valeria, I'm sorry. Valeria, are you there?
I am.
Hi, okay, what's on your mind?
I know what. First of all, I want to commend these young people, this ministry, I'm going to call it, because I know a lot of people think what they're saying is not true. I just heard you ask. Some people might want to say, "Can you get a clearer picture?" And I know I'm a minister. And I have a gift for discernment. I believe these young people are gifted with their gift. A lot of people don't understand, so what they don't understand, they judge. I myself, was ministering to a young guy, and I took him to a hotel in Rivergate, somewhere in Rivergate. And don't remember the name of the hotel, but I know the room that he was given. As soon as we walked in, I could just feel evilness around. And so I'm ministering, and then it's like eyes are looking at us. And so I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm sitting on the end of the chair. And he was sitting there. I couldn't even feel comfortable in there. So I'm like, I was telling the child, don't be scared. But I'm getting ready to tell you something. You're going to have to leave this room because something evil has happened in here, or something is about to happen. And the presence was so strong, I had to rebuke what was in there, and as well as they said, you have to pray in situations like that, for whoever done been in there won't get hurt, and you want those spirits to be at peace. So I had to go to the hotel clerk and ask him not to give that room to anyone to please. I had to plead with him to believe me. What I was saying, just like this young lady and young men is saying, people think you're crazy, but this is real.
Okay, good.
I just wanted to say that, and I just want to say to you all, again, I commend you and what you do. People are not going to believe you, but keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now there's several things there. Okay. And she's saying, okay, she went in and there was this horrible presence and she felt like she would be harmed if she didn't get out of that room. How often do you think people are harmed by these spirits or this kind of thing? I mean, how often do they truly mean harm, in your opinion? I
think that's very minimal from what we've experienced. Most of the time it's just entities that are just there in the presence. The only time we've ever experienced anything harmful is in very, very rare cases where there could have been a murder, or we know for a fact that the people living at the house have had harm done to them. But I would say that's a very small percentage.
And she says people are going to call you crazy, and you have to look past that. And she says you have. Do you feel like you are possessed with some ability that others don't have to see these things, or all of us are able to and some just choose not to?
I truly believe that there's some that have gifts that allow them to see more than others. There's some people that will never see or experience anything. We have members on our group that have never experienced it, but the more they're with it, the more they're able to differentiate what's real and what's not real, which may be the case with a lot of people. They pass it on as just something, you know, old lighting or something, but we've been able to tell the difference.
And even with gifts, a lot of us are blessed with different gifts that help make our team a really great team. For instance, some of us are really well with tech work and stuff like that, when others of us are teachers. And so if there's like a spirit of a little kid, the kid tends to go towards them to help communicate with them. So it's not always like a spiritual gift or something like that of actually being able to see them, but maybe just other gifts that God has given us to where we can work great as a team together.
And do you think when you die, you have a chance of being a ghost?
Sure. I mean, there's nothing to disprove that fact. We know for sure there are ghosts out there. We don't know exactly why some are ghosts and some are not, so who's to say that we can't be ghosts?
Okay, interesting. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to look at some more of these videos, because I think it's very interesting. Take a break. Be back right after this. Welcome back to Open Line. The night before Halloween, we're talking about ghosts and haunted houses and paranormal activity. And we have with us Tammy McClendon and John McKinney, both with Stones River Paranormal. This is something they do in their own time. They have full-time jobs, and then they do this as a hobby, I guess?
Well, not necessarily a hobby. I feel like it's something that is a service.
As a service. Okay, well, let's go back to the phones here. Chris on line 1. Hello, Chris.
Yes, I have an experience to tell you from when I was 7 years old.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, my little friend, she was 2 years old, and her grandfather was backing out of the driveway to go to work, and she was by the driveway playing, and she accidentally fell, and he ran over her head.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
This is horrible.
And at her funeral, you know, like they had reconstructed her head, surgically reconstruct, or the plastic surgery.
Okay. Now, do you think there's a ghost? Is that the deal?
Well, no, we're getting there.
Okay. All right, we don't have a ton of time, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. And like they were wanting me to go up to her, you know, and like I was afraid, you know, and I started crying. And then that night, her parents let me spend the night, and I was sleeping in her room, and they had train tracks behind their house, and a train had went by, and it woke me up, and I was like just looking out in the hallway and just thinking about whatever, and like there was a little light coming in there from the bathroom, and what it was, she instantly appeared in the room, and she was full apparition. She wasn't transparent, and her not just her skin, but her clothes, both her clothes and her skin.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate that. That is completely creepy. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, we've had stories to that effect. Everybody doesn't see people in full color. I mean, some do, obviously. The little girl didn't know what had happened to her. This was definitely a tragedy. And she's still there at her house as normal. I mean, it's a sad part of what we experience, but we do experience this type of thing from time to time.
Now, could he be, it's the middle of the night, could he be somehow seeing this based on, you know, the tragedy that he suffered? He went to the funeral, and, I mean, could this be in his head?
Yeah, that's a...
I mean, it could be. I mean, it's not to say that it couldn't be. We would have to be there to see if it happens for us, but, I mean, we've had other stories like this, so it's hard to discount.
And that's completely possible that it might have just been something that he saw in his own head that wasn't necessarily there. Sometimes people do contact us thinking that they see their son or just someone that they know, and maybe they're wanting to see them because they miss them, or they're just confused. And we can go there, see if something's there for them. Sometimes we find something, sometimes we don't. But then at the end of the day, it helps them sleep better at night knowing one way or the other.
All right, because one thing we are is a fact-finding group. We don't give them false hope, and we do let them know that up front.
Let's go to some more videos. You have a door closing, and we're going to show this. Before we show it, set it. Well, here it is. What's going on here?
We are in a old building in Murfreesboro, and we're investigating in a bathroom. And you'll notice the door on the right side actually closes, just like it did.
So it just happened, right?
It just happened.
Okay.
And you see me actually pointing at the door saying, hey, I got that on camera, because that was really exciting. But the cool thing about that door is it actually had a wooden wedge wedged in it, and it still moved.
And then what are you doing now?
Well, part of our process is actually trying to debunk things that happen to see if it's paranormal or not. And you'll see me push the door back, and the lady over there, I'm telling her to go back and forth trying to recreate the door closing, and it didn't. I actually sat there for 15 minutes throwing my body against the wall, and I could not get it to shut like it did in that video.
And let's show, we'll re-cue it, show that one more time. And what is the situation there? What kind of ghost were you investigating? What got you there in the first place?
That was actually a Civil War soldier. That bathroom back in the day actually used to be a prison during the Civil War, and it's believed that on that floor of that building that he actually haunts the bathroom. And so we were just in there seeing if we could get any readings, communicate with anybody, and we had the door shut on us. Did you communicate in any other way?
Oh, we had lots of things happen that night.
Yeah, while we were in the bathroom, we actually had the K2 meter that we were showing, trying to get readings, and we had our voice recorders out too, trying to communicate. Because when we're out there, we actually have multiple ways of communication that we're all doing at one time. So we'll be running cameras while talking to them and having our K2 meters in our hands.
And we had quite a few voices that we recorded.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Okay. And now there's another one, another video here. Is a dog moving is what I have. Set that up before we show it.
This was actually at the Thomas House, again in Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee. And we were inside one of the rooms talking to the little girl there.
Talking to a ghost.
Yes, we were
Sarah.
talking to a ghost named Sarah. We were doing a flashlight test game, which is actually where we unscrew part of the flashlight, and it can turn the flashlight on and off to answer our questions. And we were standing there, and we didn't notice this at first, but when we went back and looked at the video, while all of that was going on, there was a little toy dog sitting on the dresser next to the flashlight that actually moved. And the dog had been sitting there for, the whole night, and we'd been walking through, and so it wasn't that it just randomly fell over.
So here is this video.
Don't have to turn it on a long time, just kind of flash it on, let us know you're here.
And there is the flashlight on the right.
Yep, that's the flashlight turning on and off.
Yeah, answering questions, and the little dog is just to the left of that. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. There it went.
Okay, it just moved right there.
It tilted.
Watch the dog. Well, there you go. Watch the dog on the left side. And, okay, yeah.
And I believe that it moved when the little girl was trying to turn the flashlight.
Sarah, do you think it's
that she bumped it, possibly.
Wow. What does this tell you, doing this, believing in this? How does it affect your outlook on life? What does it tell you about life?
Well, don't discount anything. There are so many things out there, so many stories that people have that seem so outrageous. From experiencing these things, who's to say what's there and what's not? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So it's helped me to be a lot more open to things.
And what about you?
Well, with this field and seeing things like that happen all the time, I think it's just good to be able to have a service that helps people out understanding things like that they don't always understand. Kind of like if I had a toilet or something that was messing up, I'd call a plumber to come help me. And we can go help people out that aren't quite sure what's going on with them.
And I think people, there are people that want to believe in this because they want to believe there is more after this life. And so you're Christian.
Yes.
And you believe in this, and some people say that's, not possible, but
right.
What does this tell you? This tells you there is something. Is that what do you say there?
There has to be. I mean, we would not get the things we get unless there is something. If you could see the evidence that we get, you would have to believe that there's more out there after death. I mean, what it is, we don't know. We don't know what causes it, who's chosen. We just know that there's things out there that are unanswered that can't be explained by normal means.
Okay, and in 30 seconds, what do you think?
Well, I'm just going to tell the story. Before ghost hunting, I actually did not, I wasn't a Christian, and I didn't believe in all of this, just thinking people died and stuff like that. And then being able to see that there is life after death, and doing some research, that's actually what led me to believe in Christ and stuff like that.
Okay, interesting. All right, we'll take a break, come back, wrap everything up. Be back right after this. Really just enough time to wrap things up. I want to thank Tammy McClendon, John McKinney, both with Stones River Paranormal. And if people have more questions, what should they do?
Well, they can actually go to our website, which is www.stonesriverparanormal.com. And from there, they can contact us. They can see more evidence and get just an overall broad everything about Stones River Paranormal.
Very interesting. It's been very interesting to talk to y'all. I appreciate you coming on here, answering questions. I appreciate everybody who called in. Some very interesting calls tonight. Thanks for sharing your stories. Have a great night, everybody. Sportsline is coming up next.